Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. Now it's time for our Project Nigeria segment. So, Dr. Fagbenro-Byron, how would you rate Nigeria socio-economically as at now, 2018?
Well, all the ratings are out there in the public space. You have them in the Global Integrity Index, you have them in the Human Development Index. Nigeria is pretty challenged, particularly in the area of security, in the area of education. You have 13.5 million children out of school. You have a security situation getting worse. Our infrastructure situation, particularly power, is deplorable. It's sliding down. And it's not as if we don't have the capacity or ability to do that. But I'll say it's pretty dire and really needs attention.
So if you had to choose one, you mentioned education, security. If you had to choose one, what would you say is the biggest problem Nigeria is facing, and what's your solution?
The biggest problem Nigeria is facing is the security problem, and the solution lies in a series of things. We have a security architecture that does not work for us. We have a raft of security agencies that are not very coordinated. We have issues around each security agency in terms of its capacity to deliver, in terms of men on ground, boots on ground, in terms of how well they are motivated, how they are informed, and how well they are equipped to be able to address the security situation. But most importantly, we don't have an embracing, wholesome security plan that is predicated on a national interest that could drive national interest. Another thing that we have as an issue is the lack of coordination between the security agencies. Where there is no coordination between the security agencies, things are about to slip. And security is so fundamental because without security, you can't pursue most of the other things you need to pursue. We need to have a 24-hour economy to be able to reach the kind of peak. And when I mean a 24-hour economy, people should be able to do work at night. You know, the streets have to be lit. Now, without security, you can never achieve a 24-hour economy. Without having a 24-hour economy, you cannot reach your potential as an economy. You cannot fulfill what you need to do in employment. So I'd say that that is the first thing. Having said that, there is a fundamental problem with Nigeria, and that has to do with Nigeria's structure.
And I think you're going to my next question, which has to do with restructuring.
Absolutely.
So pro or against?
Absolutely, I'm for restructuring. I'm for restructuring, and I want to be very clear as to what I mean by restructuring. A decentralization of powers from the center. We should look at the balance between what is on the exclusive legislative list and what is on the concurrent list. Our constitution is too heavy on the exclusive legislative list. The saying goes that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. There is absolute power in the federal government right now, and so what they have as their framework of operation and the burden they hold and the responsibility they gather onto themselves would rather aid corruption rather than fight it. Because what it does, it gives a few people so much power and so much leverage so that, they're bound to have, impunity is about to set in. So I honestly believe in restructuring. Essentially, it's about a new constitution. There have been 3 constitutional conferences which need to be aggregated to produce a new constitution. You have the 2000 Constitutional Conference by Obasanjo. You had Jonathan's 2014 Constitutional Conference. Although it was not a conference, the APC, this current government, brought out a document on restructuring. And I believe that there are similarities between the 3. All parties and everyone in this country knows that on this current structure, we cannot operate effectively and efficiently. You don't run Nigeria like a village. You need to run Nigeria as if it's the European Union. We are a diversity and we are a mass. And it is only a constitution that speaks to our diversity, decentralizes power, puts resources in the hands of the states and the people and the communities that will salvage Nigeria. Right now, all our governors are beggars. They go every month cap in hand to Abuja to seek for funds and to seek for revenues. They don't have the capacity to even develop their own revenues in-house. The issue of security. The governor has little or no control over the police. The governor has little or no control over the security apparatus of the state. And so we have an issue.
So The economy, you already touched on that in your
Yes.
answer about governors going cap in hand to
Yes.
Abuja. What will you do differently with the economy?
Well, in the first place, I hinted in the first place, a restructured economy will serve everyone better. But on the economy, what I intend to do is that I will make sure that money is circulated within communities at a faster rate without going out of that community. And what do I mean by that? Nigeria is overbanked but underfinanced. Where people need access to finance to do their business, to do their legitimate business, that is an issue. So what you want to do is to make sure that in the rural areas, in the communities, you have enough microfinance banks. You want to make sure that people can exploit their own resources in a manner that pays them. You want to make sure that you reduce importation, right, and you increase export. You want to make sure that you reduce the reliance on either foreign technical partners or foreign procurements. You want to make sure that there is value for money for the contracts that government gives. Because when we say, take for example, no federal budget has been successfully implemented up to 50%. Part of the reasons is because a lot of the prices are overinflated in the budgets. And because they are overinflated, you don't have money to go around, the budget is not realistic. You have a corruption issue as well. We need to go after corruption. For the economy to work, you need to go after corruption. And probably you may not go, I have a different opinion about how to go after corruption, but I think it should be strategic. It should be, you should isolate certain sectors from corruption. Isolate the NMPC from corruption. Isolate education from corruption. Isolate health from corruption. There used to be what you call
your international experience.
Yes,
how would you bring it to bear in terms of Nigeria really taking its place as that giant of Africa and playing on a global space?
Thank you very much. 60% of the fate of Nigeria is designed and defined by its ability to negotiate, to engage with the international community and the global space. Your world trade, your foreign affairs policy, all those things. It comes into being, and that's what determines it. Why do we go into deals without having a concrete understanding of the interests of the other countries? What I bring to the table is that I fully understand what other countries have in terms of their interests and how I can protect my own country's interests against theirs. I'm also bringing some knowledge, some capacity, some skills, the right attitude to this space. When you've dealt on an international scale and you know how other countries have worked, what I've done in my business and where I've worked is to provide the kind of technical assistance that has helped Nigeria in its reforms, both at state level and at federal level. And most of these things have been designed, international best practices. Achieving the SDGs too is a fundamental thing, and your global breadth, your global understanding of the issues will definitely help you, whether it's security, whether it's economy.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Dr.
you very much,
Fagbenro-Byron. We'll be switching things up on a lighter note on our quick fire segment coming up after this break. You don't want to miss that.